Hi, I'm attorney Joseph Corey. I'd like to tell you a few things about a divorce and also things as to why maybe you should hire an attorney. In regards to children, they're very important to all of us. And when it comes to visitation rights, parents have all sorts of rights when they're going to see their children, whether it be the holidays or during the summer or even during the school year. So it's important that you know what your rights are, when you can see your children, and for how long. As regards to removing the children, the law is very clear that you can't remove your children more than 50 miles without getting permission from the court or the other parent. That means to relocate to another address. In regards to child support, certainly the parent who has the children deserves child support, but again, under the new laws, it's important to calculate not only based on income, but also how many overnights each parent may have, as that goes into the calculation as to what the child support should be paid from one parent to the other. So sometimes it can get a little complicated depending on how many overnights you have. So it's not just the income that each one of you make in determining what the child support may be. Also taken into consideration is who's paying for the health insurance, as well as the daycare or after school care, if that applies to your situation. That is also put into the calculation in addition to child support. As it relates to other things in divorce cases or areas of divorce, alimony is another issue where one spouse gets to get money from the other spouse depending on who makes more money and for how long you've been married. Again, it can get very complicated, and unlike child support, it's not a particular calculation, but clearly a parent, or shall I say a spouse, may be entitled to alimony depending on lots of factors such as length of marriage and one spouse's need and the other spouse's ability to pay alimony. And there's several types that may apply to your situation. As it relates to property rights, of course, if you own a home, you have a retirement account, personal property such as furniture and automobiles, that gets divided up many times based on whether or not those items are accumulated during the marriage. If they're not accumulated during the marriage but before the marriage, then they may not apply in your divorce case, and the other spouse may not be entitled to get something that's called premarital property. So it's important many times to make a distinguishment between what was obtained prior to the marriage and what was obtained during the marriage. And certainly we can make that distinguishment by looking at the dates things have been obtained, purchased, or received, let's say, as a gift from someone else. Especially retirement accounts is extremely important on how that gets divided up, especially if you have a long-term marriage, how much money was accumulated during the time the two of you have been together. And that's an absolute right that you would have. That's kind of a general idea as to how to divide up property rights. Of course, it could get also much more complicated that we would have to sort out depending on each individual situation. Modifications are important, and that's kind of a spin-off as far as how it relates to alimony and child support. Modification, for example, if you're obligated to pay child support and your child is now graduating from high school, then clearly you should not have to pay child support unless that child, God forbid, is disabled or handicapped or has special needs. Then there may be a different situation, but normally when the child graduates from high school. Or if your income changes, then child support may also change. It could go up or it could go down, and that's called a modification of child support. We have to look at people's income. Once child support is established, then we look at people's income in the future to see whether or not child support should be modified to either go up or go down. And again, that could also pertain to alimony. If alimony is established and 5 years later you retire, then you may not have that same obligation that you had originally because now you make less money. These are some of the general ideas in family law. Just so you know, there's only two requirements in order to get a divorce in the state of Florida. One is you must be a resident of the state of Florida. I mean, you have to live here. You don't have to be a citizen. You don't even have to have your green card necessarily, but it's important that you're a resident of the state of Florida at least 6 months prior to filing that divorce. And the only other requirement is that the marriage is irretrievably broken, which in essence means that you just don't get along anymore. There's no such thing anymore as abandonment or adultery. Those may be moral issues, but clearly from a legal standpoint, the court does not need that in order to get you divorced under those two elements in the state of Florida regarding residency requirement and marriage is irretrievably broken. Based on those two issues, you're entitled to a divorce. As far as the paternity goes, that clearly is when you're not married, but that you have a child with somebody. In that situation, then child support and the visitation that I previously discussed become the main issues, and property rights don't apply because you're not married. That would be in a divorce case. Many times we get that situation where people have a house together but they're not married, but they have a child. We can only deal with the child issues and not the property issue in a paternity case. So that's just to give you an idea, a general idea about divorces, to protect your rights in those areas that I discussed with you, as well as a paternity case as it relates to children's issues as well without the property issues involved. If you need any other further information, you can reach us at 305-557-1750. We're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and we're also open on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're located at the Bank of America building, 900 West 49th Street, Suite 204, Hialeah, Florida, 33012. And your first consultation is free. We don't ever charge for that first consultation, so please feel free to give us a call. We'll be happy to discuss your case with you. Thank you.